Officer Sarah Miller slammed on her brakes when she saw a tiny German Shepherd puppy chasing her patrol car down a lonely dirt road. It was filthy, shivering, and barking frantically, not scared, but desperate. When she opened the door, the puppy didn't run away. Instead, it grabbed her pant leg and tugged, whining before sprinting toward the woods. Confused but uneasy, Sarah followed, her hand on her radio. The little dog kept looking back, its cries echoing through the trees. Then, deep in the forest, it stopped beside something half buried under leaves, something that made Sarah's blood run cold. What that puppy had been trying to show her would change everything, and leave even a seasoned officer fighting back tears. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The morning was calm as Officer Sarah Miller drove along the quiet country road, sunlight spilling through the trees. It was supposed to be a routine patrol, just another peaceful start to her shift. But halfway down the dirt path, something small darted into view. She hit the brakes, squinting through the windshield. A tiny German Shepherd puppy stood in the middle of the road, trembling. Its fur was dirty, its ribs faintly visible, but its eyes, bright and desperate, were locked on her. Sarah stepped out carefully, crouching low. "Hey, little one, are you lost?" she whispered. The puppy wagged its tail once, then barked sharply, as if trying to say something. When she reached for it, the pup dodged and barked again, this time more urgently. It took a few steps down the road, then turned back to her, whining. Sarah frowned. It wasn't running away from her. It was trying to lead her somewhere. "All right," she murmured, curiosity replacing caution. "Show me then." The puppy barked again, tail twitching, and started down the path. Sarah followed slowly, her boots crunching over gravel. Something about this felt different, like the little dog wasn't lost at all. It was asking for help, and she was about to find out why. The puppy trotted ahead with surprising determination, its tiny paws kicking up dust as it glanced back every few steps to make sure Sarah was still following. "Where are you taking me, little one?" she asked softly, her voice echoing down the empty road. The air grew cooler as the trees thickened, their shadows stretching long and narrow across the path. After a few minutes, her radio began to crackle with static. She frowned, tapping it. "Dispatch, this is Officer Miller. I'm checking out a possible stray. Location unknown." No response, just static. She sighed. "Perfect." The puppy barked again, tugging her attention forward. It veered off the main road onto a narrow dirt trail winding through the woods. Sarah hesitated. This wasn't on her usual patrol route, but the pup's urgency was unmistakable. Branches brushed against her uniform as she followed deeper into the forest. The smell of pine grew thick, and the light dimmed. Then she saw it, a rusted truck half buried under overgrown vines, its door hanging open. "Whoa," Sarah muttered, approaching cautiously. The puppy ran ahead, barking frantically near the back of the truck. Sarah's heart started to race. "Is someone here?" she called out, hand instinctively resting on her holster. The puppy pawed at the ground, whining louder. When Sarah knelt to look closer, something beneath the leaves caught her eye, something that made her stomach twist. For a moment, Sarah couldn't breathe. Her flashlight beam shook as she brushed away the leaves and gasped. Beneath the dirt lay a man, pale and motionless, his clothes torn and his skin ghostly from the cold. He was still alive, but barely. "Oh my God," she whispered, instantly dropping to her knees. The puppy whimpered beside her, pawing gently at the man's sleeve, as if begging her to help faster. Sarah pressed 2 fingers against his neck, faint pulse. He was hanging on by a thread. "Stay with me," she murmured, pulling off her jacket and wrapping it around him. "You're going to be okay." She reached for her radio. "Dispatch, this is Officer Miller." Static. No connection. The forest was cutting off her signal. She looked at the puppy, then back at the man. He stirred weakly, his lips parting. "My dog," he whispered, that Sarah's eyes filled with understanding. This little puppy wasn't lost. It had been searching for someone to save its owner. Her throat tightened. "You did good, buddy," she said softly, petting the pup's head. Lifting her phone high toward the sky, she caught a faint signal. Officer Miller requesting emergency medical assistance. Possible hypothermia, unconscious male. The puppy pressed against her leg, shivering but refusing to leave its master's side. Sarah glanced down and whispered, "Don't worry, little one. We're not leaving him behind." Snow began to fall again, thin flakes drifting through the trees as Sarah lifted the man into her arms. He was heavier than he looked, his body limp and freezing cold. "Hang in there," she panted, her breath visible in the air. The puppy trotted beside her, whining, its tiny paws slipping on the icy ground. Halfway to the car, Sarah stumbled but didn't stop. Her heart pounded in her chest, adrenaline pushing her forward. The man's breathing was shallow, uneven. She finally reached the patrol car, laid him gently across the back seat, and slammed the door shut against the wind. The puppy jumped into the passenger seat, staring at her with wide, worried eyes. "Don't look at me like that," she muttered, starting the engine. "We'll get him help," she radioed again. This time the signal came through faintly. "Dispatch, this is Officer Miller. I have an injured civilian, male, unconscious. Need paramedics near Forest Route 19. Copy that, Officer Miller. Hold your position, help is on the way." The sirens were faint at first, then grew louder, cutting through the cold silence. Sarah sighed in relief, glancing at the puppy curled in her lap, still trembling. "You did it, didn't you? You saved him." When the ambulance doors closed, the paramedic turned to Sarah and said quietly, "If that dog hadn't found you, he wouldn't have lasted another hour." Sarah looked down at the little German shepherd and whispered, "You're more than brave. You're a hero." 3 days later, Officer Sarah walked through the hospital hallway, the puppy trotting beside her on a small leash. Nurses smiled as they passed, whispering, "That's the little hero." Sarah smiled too, but her heart raced as she approached room 214. Inside, the man lay propped against his pillows, pale but alive. When he turned his head and saw the puppy, his eyes filled instantly with tears. "Max," he breathed, voice trembling. The puppy yelped and leapt into his arms, tail wagging furiously as it licked his face. The man laughed, a weak, broken sound that carried more emotion than words could. Sarah stood back, smiling softly. "He led me straight to you," she said. "Didn't give up until I followed." The man nodded, wiping his eyes. "He stayed with me the whole time, even when I told him to go." Guess he didn't listen. A nurse entered, carrying a small silver medal engraved with the words Honorary Rescue K9. "For Max," she said, pinning it gently to his collar. The entire room applauded. Sarah crouched beside the bed, scratching Max's head. "You're one special boy," she whispered as Max rested his paw over his owner's hand. Sarah realized she wasn't just witnessing a rescue. She was witnessing love in its purest form. A few weeks later, spring sunlight warmed the small-town police station. Sarah was sorting through paperwork when she heard a familiar bark outside. Smiling, she stepped out, and there they were. David, the man she had rescued, stood by the cruiser with Max trotting proudly beside him, the tiny silver medal still hanging from his collar. "He's been begging to come see you," David said with a laugh. "He remembers." Sarah knelt and hugged Max tightly. "How could I forget my little partner?" she whispered. Max wagged his tail, pressing his nose against her cheek. David's voice softened. "You didn't just save my life that day, Officer Miller. You gave me back my family." She smiled, blinking away tears. "No," she said quietly. "He saved both of us." As they said goodbye, Max looked back once, his ears perked, his golden eyes full of warmth and gratitude. That night, Sarah wrote her final note in the patrol log. "Never ignore a cry for help, especially when it comes on four paws." The video fades on Max running through a sunlit field, his medal glinting in the light. Because not all heroes wear badges. Some simply wag their tails,